Welcome to Crying Out Cloud, the podcast that will make you laugh, cry, and reconsider all of your cloud security fears. I'm Eden. I'm here with my amazing co-host Amitai,
Hello.
and today we have a super special guest. And we're gonna dive deep into detection engineering. And yeah, I'm excited. Welcome, Alex Hurtado.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. This is super, super awesome being on this side of the house. I think this is my first time after hosting, gosh, I don't know, like 50 dispatch episodes. It's super, super hyped to be here.
Like, yes, that we get you for your first time being the interview. Where are you calling us from today?
I am calling in from Chicago. We just had our first snow, so a lot of firsts today.
Yeah, you can
It's
see it in the background.
we were expecting a big snowstorm, but it's actually really sunny. It's really clear skies, so very, very stoked. Very, very good day for to film a Wiz podcast.
We love it. We love the
Mhm.
energy.
Magical day.
Magical day.
Cool. So, for those who don't know, Alex is currently the head of community detection engineering, podcast host, and a technical writer at Analogic. She also authored their State of Detection Engineering report in collaboration with the SANS Institute and various pieces for the Thor Collective. Alex sits at the rare intersection of technical product and threat research marketing, specifically within the detection engineering program. In her past, she's been a SIEM analyst, SIEM SC, and detection engineering content creator.
That's right. That's right. We're actually in the midst of shipping out our state of detection engineering survey. So for those tuning in, definitely get in front of that survey so that we can get the best data there is, as we all know very well.
Okay, so we like to kick off episodes with guests with something we call Cloud Confessions to get to know the people on our podcast. Are you up for a little Cloud Confessions?
Let's see if I know any.
Okay, so you have an article called Quiet Loud and in the Log Files where you reflect on introverts and extroverts in detection engineering. Are you Would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
See, I like to think of myself as an introverted extrovert, but everyone who knows me will turn literally burn that down. They think I'm very much an extrovert, although I do it's really in the article I talk about what that really means, and it's really about how you recharge your energy, and I do like to kind of go leave the crowd, recharge, and then get back at it. So, I but in the traditional sense, I think I am officially an extrovert.
I'm also a social introvert. That's how I describe myself.
Yeah, and what about you, Amitai?
Oh, I get tired very quickly in
Mhm.
any social interaction, as Eden and our producer well know.
The social battery runs out. Interesting for a podcast.
Oh yes.
We select our timing wisely.
Next question. Where do you stand on the term thrunting?
Very controversial topic, huh? Well, at first, I was against the idea. I was against not making thrunting a thing, but as I've, met the crew over at the Thor Collective, and I was shipped some pretty sick stickers, for my laptop, the term has now grown on me. I think we should make light of the situation, not take it things so seriously and just have a little fun with it. So I am officially a part of the Thrunting crew.
Hooray. I'm also trying to personally adopt within Wiz both thrunting and thrintel, but
Oh, Thrintel, that's the
meeting
first one.
meeting some pushback though.
Okay, next question. You're an avid trekker. We hear. What's your favorite trek you did ever or recently, if you can't think of ever?
I did the, Kauai trek. I forgot what it's called. It's a really long name, a really long Hawaiian name, but it was a total of 8 hours, across different climates, across uphill a mountain, right by a lake, up towards a waterfall, and it was truly magical, but it still does not beat the best trek I've ever done, which it was through the Salcante, Andes Mountains in Peru.
So we've read you describe yourself as in our research as an unprofessional parallel parker.
Where did you guys where are you guys finding this?
We can't reveal our sources; those are confidential. However, parallel parker sounds to me like it's talking about Spider-Man from another dimension.
Oh, I see,
Uh,
yes.
B, what are some of your best parallel parking experiences?
There's a lot of parallel parking situations you'll find yourself in big urban cities like Chicago. And every single time I've tried to parallel park using the playbook that they teach you in driver school when you're 16 years old, till this day I can't figure it out. I don't know how I managed to pass it when I was 16. I always have to have whoever's accompanying me, like me get out of the car, them do it for me. I never have figured it out.
Okay. Last question is if you were a vulnerability, what type would you be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I recently saw your mashup, which I really loved. But you know what? I was thinking about has anyone ever thought about being a vulnerability for a sim? Like if you bring down the watchdog, right? The monitor, you're kind of it really turns it off for everybody. You can really do some damage, right? It's like a movie scene. You break into the control room, you knock out the guy that's monitoring everything. You're free reign for a while.
So you might be like a authentication bypass in Splunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We graduated from Cloud Confessions on to the real questions.
Most, I think, of our listeners are in the cloud security demographic. Um, so to start, what do you think some of the key differences or challenges are when it comes to detection engineering in the cloud versus other types of environments?
Yeah, it's a good question. The thing about cloud is that it really does break all of the traditional detection engineering rules, right? With as it relates to the predictable perimeters, right? The static IPs, the logs that really stay put. And in the cloud, with everything so ephemeral and decentralized and abstracted behind APIs, detection engineering really becomes less about chasing signatures, more about you know, piecing together activities of millions of moving parts, right? Uh, I really four things: identity sprawl. We saw in the Mandia M trends that stolen credentials, leapfrog phishing, right? Phishing the primary attack vector in endpoint environments, and identity really has become the new way in. And you're not just obviously watching endpoints anymore. You're watching, service accounts and federated users and IAM roles, and that just has leveled up the game really for detection engineers. Not to mention that it's so temporary, right? What detections can be run against. With everything being so elastic and workloads spinning up and down all the time, you really can't rely on static artifacts. The time to live on those are just so short-lived, right? So you have to correlate activity by cloud resource, by cloud account, and adapt in real time. Otherwise, you're kind of toast. What comes to mind too is the vendor certs the cloud certs. No better time to really freshen up on those because each flavor of cloud comes with its own nuances, right? And I've had customers that have all of them. Like everyone can sit with us, like all inclusive of all clouds, and which I'm really jealous of their budget. But each cloud provider has its own schema, its own telemetry, nomenclature, API behavior.
And its own like thousands of services with hundreds more coming out every year.
Yeah, and while AWS, GCP, Azure might all log the same event, it still does it differently, right? And standardizing that at scale is really tough. So yeah, I think you detection engineers have to rely on behavior driven logic, identity aware detections, temporary aware detections. The timing of everything is more important now more than ever, and just your detection engineering chops just have to really stay up to date. So cloud certs are the way.
You think there are any advantages, like things that might be easier in the cloud as opposed to let's say on-prem?
Yes, in terms of I think the docs are much better in the cloud, the access is support to them is much better as well. And then the community around it all too. Uh, more than other legacy on-prem, things. So that's one of those. That's why I'm super big on community, because this is all we're writing it in real time, the playbooks and learning all together. And the more that we do that, the more it can be searched against.
It's not like you have different architectures, but the components are a bit more uniform, which means that there's more like transferable skills and knowledge between different organizations that might be like all be using AWS, for example.
Totally.
I guess, like, in the latest buzz of a lot of what I think also requires a lot of community, but, generative AI. What are your thoughts, like, AI assisted or AI enabled threat hunting and detection engineering?
Yeah, so my thing with AI is that I think we should be really specific about the kind of AI that we are using and for what, and like for what for, right? Because that really should dictate when it makes sense to use it for detection engineering, for threat hunting, whatever. Uh, just recently we spoke at Blue Team Con, like just because you can use an LLM for entity extraction, for example, doesn't mean you should, right? Like, it's cute, but just use rejects and move on with your life, right? I still think the best agents, if we're talking about agentic AI, is still your team. It's got a plethora of tribal knowledge and business context and just plain curiosity, that's never gonna be ever, like, replicated. That's not to say it can't be useful, right? It can truly be useful, in pattern recognition, for example. Like, I think AI eats repetitive, things for breakfast, repetitive patterns, right? It doesn't get bored. It doesn't get tired. I'll go even as far as saying it can offset our, analysts' long lunch hours or vacation time, right? I really do think it can. But I do see as well the pressure it's put, against detection engineers. I've talked about this recently with Day Johnson, on the podcast, but analysts are feeling the pressure to level up with AI to avoid getting automated out of a job, right? Uh, Fear is really valid, but I think if we look at it as not getting replaced, but delegating the drudge work, maybe starting with the things that nobody on your team likes doing and trying to automate that, because that just makes everybody happier.
If you have the choice between hiring someone who has made themselves very efficient by adopting AI and teaching themselves to use generative AI tooling, as opposed to someone who hasn't and might be wasting time on doing things,
Mhm.
then you might lean towards hiring the person who's learned to rely on AI. I
Oh,
think
true.
generally the sentiment nowadays is we're not replacing people with AI, we're replacing people with people who use AI.
The people who use AI, yeah. Oh, I love that. I've seen that many times too. And I mean, but because if you look at when it is effective, it really is really good at a lot of things. Like, for example, the R MITRE attack on version, what, 18 now? We all have really accepted that as our common language, right? That's the universal language of detection engineers. It's the official one, I would go as far as saying. And AI is really good at making that its context, right? Its Bible. And
Mhm.
and only using that to make its decisions. Also, like I was talking about, a lot of these modern, like, languages are well documented. Telemetry sources, especially cloud, are well documented. And if you give that as context, it's cheaper than ever to replicate demo data to test against your detections. Threat intel, you guys have an amazing threat intel team, that's given us all types of amazing cloud sec research, and you pointed to that too. And you're telling me if I can prompt an LLM with MITRE, with a target data source, with an incredible blog post, and it can kick out a detection rule, why wouldn't I want that?
But I think it also, like, highlights where also then customization has to come in and has to be relevant to your environment amidst, like,
Mm.
the big depth of knowledge that does exist. So, like, how do you then take that and still, like, customize and personalize it for your own environment?
Well, that is why a human in the loop is still so important. Because while an LLM can get your detection at least 80% of the way there, it's up to the detection engineer to really make sure that it's customized to that environment. Why? Because they know that environment the best, right? A vendor will never know it more than you do. you know where everything is, you know where all your cups are, you know where all your jewelry in your house is and all the doors to get there. Organizations that do build their own detections are far better equipped to protect their org than anybody else that just uses out of the box content. And the state of detection engineering report has shows all of the data to prove that as well.
So you saw correlation between like successful detection engineering teams and teams that were using customization?
Yes, exactly. Um, the the data points exactly were about 64% of the detection engineers that took the report, they've reported having problems with with high false positive rates from vendor provided detections, and mostly relying on the detection engineers to build their own custom detections, right? And as that also I saw a correlation with when we asked them what they like doing the most, they said that they love to build their own detections in the first place. They love to threat hunt. So if you pair that with both data points just is a win-win for everybody in security, right? I think that really showed the rise of this role because just 10 years ago, we didn't really see detection engineering roles on LinkedIn or people really investing in building out that we were probably doing it, but maybe they were called security analyst.
Which is actually interesting because I mean, like someone had to coin that. Someone had to like say like this is a new type of job. I actually don't know the history there. Like who actually was the first like group of people to say like this is a new thing.
Well, I like to think we made a big impact to the rise of that role, but I would it would be a fun thing to go back and see who actually did that. I'm sure the data's there. I'm sure LinkedIn. Shout out to LinkedIn. Hopefully they can maybe they can help us figure it out. Oh, we have a joiner. My dog joined the pod today. I named him Summer after Chicago summers, which unfortunately have ended.
I had an experience recently where we were considering basically using like a ready-made solution for a certain set of detection engineering roles. And we looked into it and we tried to see if it might fit what we need. And at the same time, we were sort of looking into doing it ourselves. And in the end, we decided to do it ourselves. And I
Mm.
think that I was sort of secretly hoping that that would be what we would decide to do, just because I was having fun working on it, even if it wasn't necessarily like the most efficient way to do things. Because I think the tendency is always to say like if there is an existing, off the shelf solution, then why not use that? But in this case, it was actually fun to sort of try to do it ourselves.
No, you're not alone. That's directly from the trenches. I mean, these vendor provided rules, they were never designed to work for your environment. They're never gonna work, uh, you know, re as soon as you deploy them. There's always work to be done to fit them back into how you need them, and it's just might as well start from scratch, right? Like you did.
You wrote an article called "Detection Engineering DIY or Die Try." What was that about? How does that relate to this?
Exactly this, really, the just how off detections are super mid. They're not cutting it. They're super noisy. They're brittle. They weren't built for you knowing what you need, in mind. So the fact, and I think that really contributed to the rise of detection engineers for to have somebody strategically think about what gaps do you have, what do you need to build for, right, according to those gaps, and what is the best way to do it with given what feasibility of data you have available. And so that is really why the core of a detection engineer. And if you get to a mature spot, uh, when you treat detections like code, that's my next article, and start thinking about it like a software dev, like the way you push out a lot of those principles around the software development lifecycle, that can even up level and scale the way that you ship and manage and maintain your organization's detections. And that's another win-win for security. I think that's like the next step. Is one, are you in a position to build your own detections and not just keep things working or keep the lights on based on old detections? That's number one. That's step one. And then step two is okay. Now that you've got maybe like 2,000, 3,000 detections running out in production today, can't are you in a systematic type of process where you can keep them healthy and treat them like production code in a way.
It sounds like what you're describing is sort of shifting like detection engineering towards a sort of DevOps area where you're sort of managing like the meta of detection engineering.
Yeah, no, I think that is I mean, how what's next? Like, are you talking 6 months? Are you talking like
Yeah.
10 years where AM and AGI is gonna take over?
Ooh. I think our measurement should be like what's the next title on LinkedIn that doesn't exist today that will exist maybe next.
Hmm, it's a good question. It's a good question. I I think I don't I think because it's still so new, I don't think that there will be a next one for another 5 years. What it will turn is it'll go from ad hoc to more, uh, a better control, more being more proactive, right? And have productized detection engineering, like, as a system, CI/CD pipelines for your detections, version control detections,
Testing.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, testing, exactly. Just being more proactive instead of just waiting on your backlog, right? Almost like having your backlog managing you instead of you managing it. Right? So I just my past episode with Spencer Pratt, he really opened up my eyes about what the new detection engineer role is going to turn into, because before it was all about tuning your detections and keeping them healthy, right, every time a rule contributed to a false positive. But now his job has morphed into tuning the LLM. He's throwing all of his previous alerts at, and it's making like this basically historic archive of all of their alerts so that as new ones come in, it analyzes them from the previous. And he now, instead of tuning his alerts, right, in the logic, he now is tuning the LLM right on his RAG index. And there's all these things that he wants to fix like every single day. And that was like that just made you so much better, like higher on the market, like to go after. And this just shows progress as an industry.
Finally, we wanted to talk a bit about the you mentioned this a bit before, like the importance of community in detection engineering,
Oh
and
yes.
sharing knowledge. We wanted to hear a bit of your take on that, and how people can sort of participate in community in that sense, like if they don't know where to turn.
Yeah, so for dispatch, I'll speak from dispatch's POV, but also Thor Collective is a huge proponent of this as well. So I will also lead folks down that path. But for dispatch, community is everything. It because detection engineering is still a relatively new discipline. We are as a whole group of within the practice writing it in real time. When you're building a practice that didn't exist 10 years ago. You can't do this alone, right? So I like it's not really a support group, right? But it's like an engine for how you build upon things, right? And everything, if you look at art and in the history of time, it's always like you build upon each other. You take inspiration from different things and you build upon that, as well as code, right? You kind of copy a lot of other people's functions and vice versa. So uh the when I talk about kind of building together, it's sharing patterns, right, that are meant to be iterated on. If one person figures out how to catch an SAML abuse, another person should tune it better because they have another perspective on it. The feedback loops is really where everyone learns, and if we fail collectively, we all learn as well collectively. So I think that if you have the opportunity to get involved, do it. It's luckily that this particular industry needs so much more of it, because it's it's the best way to level up analysts now that ChatGPT is in the mix, right? And you can do that by contributing, just writing what projects you're working on Medium, on Substack. There's already like established programs like Thor Collective that they are absolutely willing to take your research and showcase it. I'm willing to share to showcase if you've got a cool use case that you've built in the SOC on our podcast. And yeah, just pretty much getting loud and asking questions and being curious about it is the way to do it. No one is going to turn down like that curiosity.
So if people have ideas, they should reach out to you. How can they find the Thor Collective besides Googling it, I guess?
I think, well, they can reach out to me. They can reach out to Sydney Maroney. Shout out to her. She's the original founder of the Thor Collective. She will, take your Google Doc. She'll get it ready, prep for you, and she'll publish it. Anything that gets something out to the community and open to feedback. I know some people may be a little bit scared of the feedback that they may get, but I haven't had any bad experience with it so far. But yeah, they could totally submit their research there.
That sounds really cool.
Mhm.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us. It was so fun having you on our podcast. And I learned a lot, so I hope our listeners will enjoy and also check out your podcast. We'll link it so they can check it out as well. And thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and to all the Wiz fans and CloudSec nerds tuning in. Wiz is a real deal. There'll never be another Wiz. We all know it.
If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and share a link to the podcast, but not your cloud keys. And as always, if your cloud security strategy is making you cry, don't worry, just cry out loud.